Good evening. We are your matchmakers tonight for how to connect with your audience and how to demonstrate your leadership. I'm Gabriel.
I'm Jacob.
I'm Leslie.
I'm Fahim.
And I'm Christina.
And much like the dating world, if you're ever able to be a leader or a group, you must show that you are a leader, not just tell people. For example, in the dating world, you don't just go up to somebody that you're trying to pursue and try to convince them that they should marry you. It's definitely not going to work, and if it does, buy a lottery ticket. The same goes for a group of people that you're trying to convince that you should be a leader of, a project, a team, an event, when you're expressing a thought. You don't just say, hey, I think I should be your guys' leader because I feel like I'd be good at it. You guys should trust me. No one would do that. In fact, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have an adverse opinion to that. However, a person that possesses leadership skills would be much more believable, and they wouldn't even have to tell them to choose them. They would be elected on their own. Now, you might be a good leader, but may lack some skills in convincing your team, group, audience, partner, whatever it may be. Today, we, your matchmakers, are here to give you our 5 top tips for demonstrating leadership and to help you make the perfect match to your team. Because, come on, we all know that UT Dallas is an Ivy League school, and we're all well qualified and have the passion. But let's show them how. So before we get into tonight's content, let's go over a quick overview of the sequence of events for the evening. First, I will go over the legend that will help you to navigate our message and the organization of the material that we're going to give you tonight. Then we'll go over our 5 top tips for being the perfect match as a leader. First, I will talk about speaking with conviction. Then Jacob will talk about being authentic, and Leslie will follow that up with listening physically. Next, Fahim will discuss listening mentally, and Christina will wrap it up with listening emotionally. Between each tip, there will be a break, and you guys received a double-sided sheet of paper with the highlights of our presentation as well as a worksheet. Between each tip, there will be a break, and we will ask you as a group to come together and answer one question that goes over what we just covered between each topic. Then I will wrap up with a brief summary, and then we'll do a brief Q&A, and that will be the end of this evening. Looking at our legend, it has to do with our dating app platform, obviously. These icons follow a cause and effect relationship. The first 2 icons on the left have to do with good practices and outcomes that would be employed as a leader. Swiping right is a good action as a leader. Matching is a favorable outcome that happens when you swipe right. The bottom 2 outcomes on the left refer to bad practices and outcomes that should be avoided as a leader. Swiping left is an action associated with a bad practice. Being ghosted is an unfavorable outcome that will be a result of when you swipe right. So this evening, just like on any other dating app, you always view somebody's profile before you decide to swipe left or swipe right. So what we're going to do now is view each group's profile before swiping left or right on either of you. On the back of your activity sheet, or in any of the blank space, go ahead and elect a leader for each group and write down 3 traits, things, or descriptions you think a good leader might possess. We'll give you guys about 90 seconds. All right, it's about 45 more seconds. You guys good over here? You have any questions at all? Good? Okay. Making sure there's no confusion. I think we're just about wrapping up. So, group 2, who did you elect as your leader? What's your name, sir?
Cody.
Cody, what did you say were some of the effective traits or habits as a leader?
We came up with personable, approachable, dependable.
Okay, so Cody said personable, approachable, and dependable. Those are all super good answers, and I definitely think that all leaders should have some sort of those quality of characteristics. Okay, so now we'll get into our first topic for tonight. Our first point tonight is speaking with conviction. Speaking with conviction not only shows that your audience are passionate about your topic, but it also helps to sway them in your favor in some instances. On this slide, we'll go over some practices that you want to swipe right or do, and some outcomes that could lead to a match or something that's good. So the first one that I'm going to go over is talking with passion. This is essential in any function, whether it's speaking in front of a group, speaking to a partner, a coworker, a team, or anyone that you're trying to convey a message to. When you speak with passion and conviction, it shows your listeners that you care. Whether you see it or not, they will take notice of that passion. Human beings have a tendency to go with the flow. If they see that you care and are passionate about your topic, they will ask themselves if they should care as well. While we like to think that decisions can be based purely on facts, the economy tells us that there is always an emotional element, and that your conviction may just be the emotional deal breaker needed to sway the public opinion in your favor. So whether your audience agrees with you or not, the match will be that it garners attention. Perhaps they came into the presentation expecting to disagree with you, neutral in standpoint, and then they see the passion for your topic. While it may not always be a victorious conversion, at the very least they will always remember you and your topic. The second point to swipe right on is to use a committed tone. Using a committed tone builds off of speaking with passion. While you may speak with passion, it is still possible to come across as ingenuine if it does not fit the situation appropriately. Using a committed tone not only means that you have committed yourself to the topic, but to your audience and their ideas and opinions surrounding the topic that you're talking about tonight. This is key, as you may present or discuss the same topic to different groups, but need to use a different tone for each one. Committing to your audience means tailoring your content to their needs and not just a one-size-fits-all program. This is all included in the attitude and work ethic of a successful leader and match. As a result, you will gain your audience's trust. An audience that sees your commitment to them and the topic will be more likely to be receptive to your message and walk away with positive takeaways, and maybe even agree with your viewpoint. Using a committed tone gains trust because they knew that you took initiative to take interest in them and not just the topic. Lastly, you also want to emphasize key words. Emphasizing key words helps your subjects know what is essential and what is support. Keywords circle back to your conversation and purpose. As a leader, it is important to keep your topic focused to your audience and keep them pointed in the right direction. This also helps to keep the flow of your dialogue lively, passionate, relevant, as well as gaining the attention of those who may have drifted off halfway through. When you emphasize your key words, it ensures that your point will stick long after the discussion is over. By doing so, your followers will carry out your message and will help to hold others accountable to what was discussed on the night you talked about it. This is key to effective leadership, because what is said is worth nothing if no action is taken afterwards. So on this slide here, we're going to go over some wrong practices or something that you would want to swipe left on, and then some actions that would result in being ghosted or a negative outcome. The first one is talking with fake tones. Talking with fake tones is obvious. While to you it may be an attempt to take interest in a topic that you don't particularly care about, it may come across as disingenuous and lead to hostility eventually. Using fake tones to garner interest in a topic not only takes away from your message, but also ruins your credibility as well. This may cause irreparable damage to your reputation, eventually lead to loss as your effectiveness as a leader as well. Your group will appreciate your honesty much more than a facade in which you're trying to take interest to a topic that you really don't know much about. Talking with a disingenuous voice most always leads to agitation and hostility. This comes across as an insult to your group and conveys to them that you are not taking it seriously. So why should they? The second point to swipe left on is to forget to relate emphasis. Forgetting to relate your emphasis back to the topic of discussion or point that you are trying to make will only confuse others, but also make you appear disorganized and unstructured as a leader. Relating your emphasis back to the support statements or big idea is essential to keeping your audience focused on what you want them to know. It makes you appear prepared, concerned about their understanding, as well as invested in their reception of your message that you're giving. As a result, if you don't, it will likely lead to an unfavorable outcome, either during the presentation or afterwards. When you don't relate your key points back to the emphasis of your main point or supporting arguments, it will confuse others, as they aren't sure where to focus. Their attention could be taking away from the dialogue with you in certain instances where you just keep rambling on and on and on, and you're not tying it back, and they'll tune out. They won't get that. They won't get the effect of what you're trying to communicate to them. Avoiding confusion is essential, as it may lead to errors, conflict, lack of trust, or loss of respect as you come across as unprepared and hodgepodge. The last topic that you want to swipe left on is to disengage from the audience. This kind of seems like an obvious statement, but there are many ways that this can happen, and it may not be so obvious. Disengaging can come in a variety of ways, and you may not even catch yourself if you're not aware. Disengaging may be in the form of not holding eye contact, tuning out during discussions, or quote-unquote getting in the zone while you're talking and forgetting to consider others' opinions. Disengaging from the group can come in many ways. Perhaps the most dramatic outcome could be retaliation. Group members may retaliate when they see that you no longer are interested in them or the topic. This may result in the form of a lack of response from a call to action that you give them, in some inattentive behavior, or an attempt to catch you off guard by a wild question. So we've reached our first demonstration tip number 1. I'd like to have you guys elect a new leader for your groups as you go over the first question, which is provide one example from Speak with Conviction to give a swipe right. You guys have about 90 seconds or so. Everybody doing good so far? Alright, it's about 20 more seconds or so. It looks like everybody's kind of wrapping up. Alright, we'll go ahead and close up shop there. So group 4, what did you guys have for number 1?
Be passionate and genuine.
Be passionate and genuine? That's a good answer. So being passionate and genuine is a good way to make sure that your audience knows that you're speaking with conviction, that you're talking with passion, and that you are truly invested in your topic as well. Now we'll pass it on to Jacob to go over tip number 2.
Hi everyone, I hope everyone's doing okay and everyone's warm. Thank you, Gabe, for that information. So moving forward, we're gonna go ahead and give you some tips on how to be authentic. When speaking with conviction, you're also needing to be hand-in-hand authentic. Being authentic emerges from your deep beliefs and what you've experienced within your life. So when that message is relayed to y'all are authentic by y'all's experiences and y'all's deep beliefs. When you are giving a speech or you're leading a group or a training, you want your audience to remember that you're giving a message, not just a speaking head rephrasing phrases. So here are a few tips that I believe makes a speaker authentic. First and foremost, using the pronoun I. Whenever you use that pronoun I, for example, I believe, I'm convinced, it gives the message that you believe in what you're saying. That builds that authenticity, that relays that message that you are leading from what you believe in, and that message is relayed as so. According to Forbes, this is a top leadership skill for leadership. Moving on, relating your message to your own life story. So speakers become real when relaying messages. So whenever you use a real life story, that message is portrayed as something that you've encouraged. So with that being said, the rest of the group will open up to you because you've opened up to them first. So if I was to tell y'all a story about why I believe I'm authentic, I would hope that y'all would also reply with why y'all would believe y'all are authentic. Moving on to our third swipe right, which entails a match, is remaining short and snappy. When you remain short and snappy and getting personal with your audience, that encourages the audience to become more receptive to sharing, to what you are sharing. With that being said, whenever, to bring it into a real life situation, whenever your boss or your manager walks into your office, you know that they're there for business. So you become receptive, you become aware that their presence is there. Whether they're gonna speak to you for 5 minutes or for 30 minutes, you're gonna make sure that your full attention is to them, because as a leader, if they're an authentic leader, you know that they're there to give you a message that needs to be receptive. So moving forward, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna discuss what not to do, and this is what you would swipe left on, and this is what would get ghosted. So faking your feelings. You do not want to fake your feelings, because when you do so, the audience will become lost, and you will lose respect, causing a ghosting. Once that respect is lost, it's hard to regain that respect as a leader. As a leader, respect is what keeps the ship moving, so you want to avoid that at all costs. Number two, you don't want to portray as if you're someone else. This causes a leader to become unadmirable and uninspiring. As a leader, you want to inspire your group to move forward in their career, move forward in their education. So once you become uninspired as a follower or as a group, it's really hard to become motivated in the workplace and in school. Moving to our third topic, don't be a coward. When I mean don't be a coward, it's not being able to have that difficult conversation as a leader or in your everyday life. Difficult conversation comes with everything that you do. And being able to hold and run and discuss with someone superior or not as superior, on your same level, or as a peer or with a peer, shows that leadership. I do want to share a personal story. So I was approached with a promotion with another company that I had interviewed for, and with my previous company, it would have been a lateral jump. It would have been closer to home. It would have been the middle point between school and home. So it just seemed like the right thing to do. But because I knew having a difficult conversation with my previous employer, giving them the respect, knowing that I could go in and talk to them and really let them know, like, this is what is taking place in my life right now, I was able to see if I was going to be held to a standard that I knew I should have been held at. And because of that, I knew where I stood on the totem pole with my previous employer, which, because I had that discussion and knew that if I would have stayed, it wouldn't have been the better choice, I made a new choice and moved forward with a new job. Yeah, so that's having that difficult conversation with my previous manager led me and pushed me into the right direction. So that is a personal story. Moving forward, we are going to demonstration tip number 2. And with that, we are going to request that y'all pick another leader within your group and give us an answer on why you believe you're authentic.
More seconds.
Okay, can I get group number 5 to go ahead and give us an answer on how it is to be an authentic leader?
Here.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So, for how to be an authentic, be direct, like go direct to the point in a professional way, in a direct way, but because also transmit security and also that you're not avoiding the issue, that you're open and that create trust in what you're saying.
Awesome. And what was your name?
Gonzalo.
Okay. He said that in order to be an authentic leader, that you need to be direct, that shows confidence and openness as a leader. Next, we're going to be getting into why you should listen physically, and Leslie will be going into that.
Thank you, Jacob. So at this point, Gabriel and Jacob have discussed with you how to demonstrate leadership. The rest of our discussion will focus on listening. Believe it or not, there is 3 ways to listen. And the reason why we're going to spend the rest of our time focusing on listening is because it's at the core of being a great leader. So the first level of the listening is the most basic skill, which is physical listening. For adults, this is our 3rd business communication course. We know how to listen, right? Eye contact, you smile, you nod. But the reason why I want to bring this up again is because in moments of high stress and pressure, like giving a speech or leading a team, it can be very easy to lose those basic listening skills. So I'm here to run those through you, by you actually. So our first swipe right is creating physical openness. So many people shut themselves off physically without realizing it. So what I mean by physical openness is actually putting yourself in situations where you can socialize with people. For example, if you're in an office and you have the corner office or you're by a queue, create circumstances where you will run into people and you can have conversations with them. This makes you seem more approachable and more open. For example, go eat in the lunchroom and go talk to people that maybe even aren't on your team and see what they're up to. Of course, there's always happy hours, so it's become a little bit more easier to become more social in. I realize this can be more particularly difficult for us introverts. Being social takes a lot out of us, such as myself, but you don't have to do this every single day. You don't have to do it every single hour. You just pick a couple of days where you can put yourself in situations where you're being social, and that makes you more open, and this makes you a great match to be a leader. Our second swipe right will be set up a listening position. What I mean by this is that when you're walking into a meeting or joining a roundtable discussion, be strategic about where you plan to sit. For example, if you're part of a team collaborating with another team, don't sit across from the team that you're collaborating with. Create an environment of teamwork and go sit next to them, where you're able to have more open discussions and that you're not talking just directly to each other. If you are a leader, maybe try not sitting at the edge of that long table. Just sit somewhere else where it makes it seem like you're on their level, and so that'll make them open up more to you. Our third swipe right is mirroring expressions and postures. So what I mean by this is, for example, if there is a serious discussion going on between you and your boss or a peer, if his or her expressions are serious, match his or her expression. Don't maintain a smiling face and a relaxed posture if you're having those difficult conversations. If you're laughing or smiling, you might give off the impression that you don't understand the seriousness of the problem, and it shows that you're not listening intently. Mirroring those expressions, mirroring postures, lets them show that you listen intently. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to our swipe lefts. These are the things you don't want to do. We don't like them. Just swipe left. So our first one will be do not hold a rigid posture. So holding a rigid posture seems aggressive and gives impressions that you don't have the ability to hear others' ideas and concerns. This is a problem that I have too. I have been described as being tightly wound. I am a task-oriented person. If you set a task, it could be the easiest thing. It could be like, just go get some milk from the grocery store. I become very serious about it. And it's even more for tasks and projects at work. And I just get this tunnel vision and I get tightly wound. My shoulders, in meetings are just, I'm at the edge of my seat. I'm ready to talk. My shoulders are just, I just don't look relaxed. And so I have to tell myself, Leslie, relax your shoulders. Slow down the pace of your voice, relax your hands, and that makes it seem like you are ready to receive ideas and you're ready to receive other people's thoughts on what you should do. And that is a good trait of a good leader, and it makes it seem less aggressive. Our second swipe left will be swipe left on violating personal space. Keep in mind to always respect personal space, because otherwise it gives a perception of dominance, and a good leader never exerts their dominance by intimidation. Rather, a good leader gives enough space to allow the team members and ideas to flow freely in the room. This all relates to the ambience that you want to create anywhere, whether it's in your office, whether you're giving a speech. You want to keep this relaxed, calm ambience. People will perceive you as being a better leader. Finally, our swipe left on pretending to listen. Don't do this. So if you do this, this will not go well for you. Why? Your listener will know that you are pretending to listen. How? Well, if they're trying to tell you something that you shouldn't do, and you say, yeah, sure, so we're gonna go ahead and do it this way. You weren't listening. You were listening so that you can quickly respond. Let's not do that. So, to further drive home the importance of physical listening, I do want to show you a video from the show The Office. For those of you who still don't know what The Office is, it's a show that revolves around an everyday office life, and with employees where they must deal with each other's personalities and see their relationships developing. So this clip that I'm about to show you focuses on our main character, Dwight Schrute, and his inability to exhibit good listening skills, more particularly towards women. Throughout the entirety of the show and the seasons, though, he believes that he should be the office branch manager. He truly believes that he would make a great leader, and I'm pretty sure if you ask him, he would think that he should be president. But what I'm about to show you, you might see why he isn't quite ready to be a leader yet, and it all focuses on his listening abilities.
So, show us how you'd normally sell to a female client.
Okay, with pleasure. Time to learn a few new tricks, old dog.
You got this, Schrute. Okay, you've just walked into her office, and begin.
Hello.
Hello.
May I please speak to your boss?
No, she is the boss.
I am. Hi, I'm Mr. Hannon. How can I help you?
Okay, this isn't working for me because no one would ever believe that she would be a boss.
He's absolutely right. I'm really strong.
Oh, I'll be the buyer.
Hello, Mr. Schrute. Nice to see you. Please have a seat.
I never sit down during sales meetings. I want to appear aggressive and imposing. I'm going to sell to you in 12 minutes.
No, actually, she'd like to take her time discussing her needs.
I will tell her what her needs are and then fill them. This is going to work out best for you if you just relax and do nothing. And once I'm finished, it's over.
Okay, let's stop here. Anyone have any thoughts?
I thought it went great.
I have written down a few questions. One, have you ever killed a woman? How many women have you killed? Please, sir, will you not kill me?
Okay, when you're selling to women, it is crucial that you listen, Dwight. Also, you want to respect their... Are you listening now?
Yes.
Okay, well, you have to show us.
That's impossible. Listening happens in the ear and in the brain. I mean, some organisms have external hairs that vibrate to indicate auditory stimulation, but unfortunately, our external hairs don't vibrate at all.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
What are you doing?
A little smile and a nod shows that I hear you. Got it?
Kind of.
Nellie, why don't you tell Dwight what we were doing earlier today, and Dwight, you show us that you're listening.
Well, we were in the warehouse where we were discussing the mural that I'd commissioned Pam to paint there. We were talking about the colour schemes and the major themes we want to hit. Children of the world coming together, cutting down trees to make paper, but not in a child labouring way.
It's just up and down. Just a regular nod, like a person.
I am a person.
Of
Yes.
course, you're a person.
Yeah.
We can do this, all right? And then we thought I can't carry on with that face. Look at it, I'm going to get nightmares with that face. I mean, he looks like he's labouring over a stool having just eaten human flesh.
It's a bit extreme.
No, I'm sorry, but that is true.
He screwed the meeting in less than an hour.
Oh, all right, cut.
I've watched this probably 20 times and it never stops me from that. Okay, so as you witness, Dwight still needs a lot of work with physical listening. He sees women as a lesser gender and treats themselves. And in today's world, a good leader knows to listen to everyone. And as you saw, he was pretending to listen. He didn't even try to. He was just going through the steps, and as you saw, it's very obvious that it didn't work out for him. So now, we have arrived at demonstration tip number 3. So I want you all to get in your groups again. We're going to pick a different leader this time, and we're going to answer the question to provide one example of listening physically or to get a swipe right. And this time, go ahead and maybe pick 2, because I'm going to pick 2 teams. You have 1 minute. We have 30 seconds left. All right, everyone, it's been 1 minute, so let's go ahead and put our attention up here. So I want to call, maybe a team that we haven't called yet. Where's team 5? 6. Team 6. Is that you guys? Okay.
We have listening to understand and not just listening to respond.
That's a really good one. I see a lot of people doing that actually. And even in the professional world, you're trying to tell them you're not listening. They want to make sure that they're going to say. They're just waiting for you to finish that. And what was your name? Ken? Ken. Okay, so Ken did say, don't just listen to respond, listen to actually listen to what the other person is saying. Team 7, do we have team 7? You the leader?
Yes.
Okay, so did you think of anything?
Writing down notes and referring back. So there's, it depends on the presentation, you have to writing down notes and maybe looking back to the person, just a quick nod at the same time.
Oh, that's a really good one. Okay, so, and what was your name?
I'm Joshua.
Joshua. So Joshua said writing down notes, and if you're doing that, you are writing down notes, you want to exhibit that you're still paying attention, look up every once in a while, and just nod. Thank you. So we'll pass it on to Fahim now. He's going to talk to us about listening mentally.
Thank you, Leslie. So we have seen the first steps to becoming a better speaker as a listener. So we saw speaking with conviction, we saw being authentic, and we've seen the first phase of listening. Building off of that, we come to the second level of listening, which is listening mentally. First, we will go over 3 recommendations, or swipe rights, to become a better mental listener. The first recommendation, or swipe right, is to becoming a better listener, is to listen in advance. Listening in advance means that you're trying to figure out who your audience is, and then you're tailoring your presentation or your topics towards that group. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to try to figure out who they are, understand who they are, how they're going to respond to some topics, and avoid, or what topics to avoid when you're presenting to them. So for example, if we're presenting to you guys, we're going to see what you guys are into, what you guys are not into, what you guys find very debatable topics. So we would try to avoid those topics where we could potentially hurt someone's feelings or something like that. So this develops a keen sense of your audience. The second recommendation that we have is to draw upon the words that are said. It is very important to show that you are hearing what the audience is saying and acknowledging that their points are going to be taken into consideration. So this can be done by saying things such as I listen to you, I realize that ... or something as simple as, oh, that's a good point. That shows that you're acknowledging what they're saying and you're going to take what they're saying into consideration. By doing this, we build communication bridges, which gives the audience a chance and the idea that you're willing and open to accepting new ideas that he or she may have found far-fetched in the beginning. So the third recommendation, or the swipe right, is to ensure that you inquire more about ideas. It is crucial to do this because you want to understand what is actually being said and why it's being said. This actually gives you a better understanding of other points of view. So now we're going to move on to the swipe lefts, or stuff that should be avoided when trying to speak as a leader. The first is to ensure that you never employ selective listening. That can truly be detrimental to your efforts in reaching the audience if you alienate a person or a group of people from your audience. Selective listening does allow you to only listen and comment on points of view that you agree with, but doesn't allow you to talk about points that you don't agree with. Now this will show the audience that you're not interested in hearing other opinions that might differ with what you're saying. And this can also make you miss vital information that could lead to breakthroughs or positive changes in the setting that you're in, whether it's school or work. So the second recommendation of what to avoid is, and I want to emphasize this, is that it's a counterpoint to one of my recommendations, is that assuming further information rather than inquiring further about ideas. If you do this, it could lead to false conclusions, and assuming the purpose of a comment made by the audience can cause you to misinterpret what was said and potentially use that to create a negative change rather than a positive change. And this could also discourage the audience from giving thoughts, because although you might acknowledge what they're saying, you might show that you're not understanding or willing to understand what they're trying to say. And the third point is quite important, really. Avoiding audience involvement whatsoever, it creates a barrier between you and the audience and shows them that you're just there to spew information at them and then move on. You're not there to share ideas and have a back and forth to see other points of view. If you show them that you're not listening, audience members are more than likely going to feel discouraged from participating, because they're going to feel that their involvement is going to go unnoticed and unacknowledged. So in becoming an effective speaker as a leader, you want to ensure that you acknowledge and appreciate the audience, because their opinions, their value, your outcome at the end of the day as well. So now we're going to move on to demonstration tip number 4. And I'm going to ask the groups to pick a new leader. I see that some groups don't have more than 4 people, so pick somebody else, or so pick somebody that's already gone. And you're going to answer the question, provide an example from listening mentally